for why humanity on the surface of this planet should not be told everything there is to know and show about huge architecture deep under the ice of Antarctica. Why? What is it?
Antarctica, often seen as a vast frozen desert, might be hiding secrets that challenge everything we think we know about the continent. What if beneath its thick ice sheets lies evidence of ancient structures, technology, and cities lost to time? For decades, people with high-level clearances have remained silent, but now, one investigator dares to speak out. Could these revelations rewrite history, or are we on the verge of uncovering something far beyond natural explanation? Hidden discoveries beneath Antarctic ice. Antarctica is often pictured as a barren, endless white desert, but beneath that thick ice lies a mystery that has captured the attention of a few insiders for decades. Reports from former military personnel and scientists hint at something entirely unexpected: structures with sharp angles, clean lines, and built forms that don't belong in a natural landscape. Imagine a U.S. Navy flight crew forced to land in 1982 on a ridge surrounded by fierce winds and freezing temperatures, only to spot a massive object protruding from the ice. This was no ordinary rock or ice formation. The flight engineer described the surface as something crafted with intention, something engineered. The startling part is that the crew was immediately ordered to forget what they saw. Intelligence agents questioned them separately, seized their flight logs, and imposed secrecy through non-disclosure agreements. The phrase, "this never happened," was enforced with chilling clarity. For nearly 2 decades, the flight engineer stayed silent, bound by his promise and perhaps cautious of the consequences. Yet, when he finally spoke in 1998 to investigative journalist Moulton Howe, he opened the door to what would become a growing tale of hidden Antarctic revelations. But this initial account was just one piece of a vast puzzle. Antarctica has remained isolated for most of human history, its frozen wastes too harsh for extensive exploration. Only in the mid to late 20th century did nations begin sending research teams and aircraft across their surface. This newfound access sparked a hidden chapter filled with unexplained phenomena and classified missions that continue to this day.
Antarctica, the least hospitable place on Earth. Scientists investigate our climbing in the cold.
The idea that man-made structures can exist under miles of ice is difficult to grasp, and understandably so. Yet multiple independent sources have hinted at the same hidden presence beneath the ice sheets. What makes these reports even more compelling is the consistency of the descriptions. Large, organized spaces, walls with unnatural smoothness, markings that don't match any known language, and technologies beyond current understanding. These are not isolated sightings, but a pattern of similar accounts coming from unrelated witnesses, all pointing to a startling conclusion. Ice does not naturally form straight edges or symmetrical shapes, and yet these features keep emerging in testimony after testimony. The hidden information creates darkness, which obscures the complete narrative. Who benefits from concealing actual information from the public? The government has dedicated considerable resources to Antarctic research because its military operations and scientific research programs operate simultaneously, which they present to the public in an obscure manner. The controlled airspace, together with the no-fly zones and the restricted areas, creates public suspicion about the existence of powerful materials that remain hidden under the frozen ground. Moulton Howe has spent years gathering accounts like this, known for her careful documentation of classified and controversial information. The Antarctic structural investigation involves more than one anomaly because multiple military scientists have become key witnesses who sustain the pattern. The witness statements establish multiple new points that demonstrate that the hidden world under the icy surface contains more than just ice and rock materials. The initial information provides more questions to solve than it solves. What exact structures exist at this location? What is their age? Who constructed these buildings? And what materials have been taken from their interiors? For 40 years, these questions remained unsolved because they existed at the highest security levels and secret military operations. The upcoming witness statements, together with the materials Linda has collected, will start to reveal the actual fundamental realities of the situation. The initial findings suggest a vast and disturbing narrative that requires careful and gradual disclosure. The next pieces originate from the initial exploratory missions and from the people who first saw and reported the unexplainable events, which created a pattern of secrecy that remains unbroken to this day. As whispers grew louder, the truth became impossible to ignore, pushing a handful of brave insiders to break decades of silence and share what they saw beneath the ice. Early missions and suppressed testimonies. Antarctica's isolation kept it largely untouched until the mid-1900s, when geopolitical tensions and scientific curiosity spurred nations to explore the frozen continent. The most notable early expedition was Operation High Jump in 1946 and 1947, led by Admiral Richard Byrd of the United States Navy.
1946. Admiral Richard Byrd. Operation High Jump, the largest expedition ever to travel to Antarctica.
Officially a training and research mission, this large-scale operation involved thousands of personnel, ships, and aircraft conducting seismic surveys and other experiments. Yet behind official statements, hidden signals and structures were reportedly detected deep beneath the ice. Seismic data picked up during these surveys showed anomalies that did not match known geological formations. Despite the significance of these findings, they were swiftly redacted and classified, disappearing from public knowledge. No detailed reports or academic papers were ever released about them, and the mission's supposedly scientific objectives obscured a very different reality. This marked the beginning of a long history of government efforts to censor the truth about what lies underneath Antarctica. Nearly 4 decades later, in 1982, a routine U.S. Navy supply flight would inadvertently add a critical eyewitness account to this hidden story. The flight crew had to make an emergency landing on a ridge due to equipment failure and extreme weather. While the others worked on repairs, the flight engineer spotted sharp-edged structures exposed through the ice, far too precise to be natural formations. His report was met with immediate containment. Military intelligence took control, flight logs were classified, and the crew was warned to remain silent. The weight of such orders pressed heavily on those involved. The engineer didn't speak for almost 2 decades, fearing repercussions and bound by his official non-disclosure agreement. When he finally confided in Linda Moulton Howe, she took great care to verify his background and the authenticity of his story. Even with this verification, both she and he understood the staggering implications, so she did not rush to reveal the details publicly. The following years saw witnesses from multiple countries and various fields who reported identical events. Some scientists worked with ice-penetrating radar, which showed extensive underground spaces that extended beneath multiple miles of ice. Other scientists drilled deep into the Antarctic ice, but discovered only metal walls and unfamiliar symbols, which did not match any existing cultural documentation. The secrecy network grew more restricted with every new story. Their scientific data became secret, while their teams received new assignments, and their communication abilities became restricted. Argentina's Esperanza base provided another piece of the puzzle. Argentine scientists repeatedly found odd objects in ice cores that dated back more than 12,000 years. Military personnel took these samples without authorization and left no official documentation of their actions. The abrupt sample removal pattern strengthened the belief that authorities were hiding sensitive information from public knowledge. The restricted areas, which pilots observed during their flights across the continent, had no presence on official maps. Civilian flights were prohibited from entering the area, while military pilots needed special permission to enter the zone. The response to inquiries contained misleading information, which described the research as sensitive research, but did not provide further details. Official representatives maintained silence, which created greater public doubt about Antarctica's actual hidden resources. The attempts to silence witnesses and reassign them to other positions show organizations that need to protect critical information from public exposure. Governments clearly show their determination to prevent public access to confidential information, which creates both interest and distrust among citizens. The stories from distinct corners of Antarctic operations, from scientists to military members, formed a web of unexplained evidence pointing to something extraordinary below. Unexplained anomalies from multiple angles. What makes the Antarctic mystery particularly compelling is the diversity of witnesses, all from different fields and countries, who independently describe similar strange findings. One geophysicist, working with ice-penetrating radar, spoke of vast regular shapes beneath the ice, far larger than natural caves. His team's data was quickly classified and erased, and many were reassigned to silence any further investigation. This was not a random anomaly, but an organized pattern of suppression. A member of a Navy construction battalion recounted being sent miles away from any known research station without a typical briefing. Their sole instruction was to drill straight down. When they reached the bottom of the borehole, the discovery shocked them. Walls appeared metallic and unnaturally smooth, their surfaces too perfect to be confused with ice or rock. This engineer described a profound sense of unease, knowing these were man-made and not natural formations. Meanwhile, at Argentina's Esperanza base, a scientist explained how their team regularly extracted artifacts embedded in ice cores dating back more than 12,000 years. Yet military personnel swiftly confiscated these objects every time, disappearing without any documentation or scientific study being recorded. This pattern of immediate military intervention points to something far beyond routine research. From the skies, pilots have noticed restricted areas absent from all official maps, prompting questions that were met only with silence or vague answers about sensitive research. Civilian flights were barred, while military aviators needed special clearance. This level of secrecy surrounding specific zones reinforces the presence of something highly classified beneath the surface. Further evidence comes from unusual satellite imagery, where analysts reported seeing blurred or removed sections over Antarctica. Before public release, these images were altered, suggesting a deliberate effort to obscure whatever lies beneath. The scale of this image manipulation indicates a strong government intent to keep the public in the dark. Material scientists who briefly examined samples recovered from the region also confirm these are unlike anything on record. The substances defy classification, hinting at advanced technology or unknown origins. This scientific enigma adds another layer to the mystery that official narratives ignore or conceal. Additionally, logistics personnel involved with Antarctic operations noticed equipment manifests featuring heavy excavation tools and sealed containers connected to defense agencies. Such lists do not align with normal scientific missions, but suggest covert activities and the retrieval of unusual objects. Electronic failures occurring near certain sites further imply the presence of unfamiliar technology or energies. Together, these varied accounts form a compelling testimony web, each piece contributing a vital clue to an extraordinary hidden reality beneath Antarctic ice. They hint at something far beyond natural geography, possibly evidence of lost civilizations or unknown technology with a history older than anyone imagined. Transitioning from these multiple perspectives leads us deeper into the heart of classified operations and the mysterious recoveries that may finally unlock some answers. Classified operations and mysterious recoveries. As testimonies expanded, so did claims of covert operations hidden beneath Antarctica's ice, missions far beyond standard scientific research. One of the most credible sources cited by Moulton Howe, a retired NORAD officer, revealed in 2016 that specialized teams had operated nearly 2 miles beneath the West Antarctic ice sheet. What they reportedly found were not natural formations, but structured environments, smooth surfaces, geometric designs, and interconnected layouts, resembling a buried city. According to this account, teams didn't just observe these sites, they conducted active recovery missions. Objects retrieved were described as functional devices, though their purpose and mechanics remained unclear. These materials were transported to classified facilities for further analysis, suggesting a level of coordination and secrecy far beyond conventional archaeology. The scale of these efforts implies something significant lies beneath the ice, whether advanced technology or remnants of a lost civilization. Even more striking are claims about the age of these structures. Reports suggest they predate the last ice age, from a time when Antarctica may have been a temperate environment with rivers and forests. If accurate, this would challenge established timelines of human history and raise the possibility that an unknown civilization once inhabited the continent. Some trace the origins of these discoveries back to Operation High Jump. Publicly labeled a military training mission, it reportedly detected unusual seismic signals beneath the ice, signals inconsistent with known geology. These findings were quickly classified, setting a precedent for decades of secrecy. The United States, Russia, and China conducted their later expeditions to focus on retrieving objects instead of investigating new areas. The teams used deep shaft drilling and natural ice cave access to extract buried artifacts, which they recovered under military supervision. The witnesses observed extensive underground chambers whose walls displayed unknown symbols that only authorized personnel could enter. A contractor who worked on a drilling project during 2003 discovered that the ice layers above him concealed built environments, which included pathways leading to internal sections.
In the latest, scientists have set up camp in Antarctica to sample ice
that are drilled from ice sheets and glaciers.
The accounts describe a substantial constructed network that exists under the continental landmass. The discovery of operational devices adds another dimension to the enigma. Their function remains unknown, and no official documentation has been released. The presence of these objects remains uncertain because it is unclear whether they belong to ancient human civilizations or something completely different. Researchers still face missing information because documents and coordinates have not been shared with them, and essential information remains concealed. The existing fragments reveal a complicated and secret existence that remains hidden under Antarctica, while people ask the same question: what exists under the ice? Few things are as chilling as the knowledge that beneath one of the coldest places on Earth, entire cities frozen in time await answers, guarded by layers of ice and layers of silence. Evidence of prehistoric civilization. The idea of buried structures beneath Antarctica reshapes how we view Earth's distant past. If these formations truly date back over 12,000 years, they would exist before or during the end of the last ice age, a time when Antarctica may not have been the frozen wasteland we know today. Geological evidence suggests parts of the continent once supported vegetation, rivers, and wildlife, raising the possibility that it could have sustained early human or unknown civilizations. Reports of unusual artifacts found in deep ice layers only deepen the mystery. Some are described as unnatural in design, even technologically advanced. According to various accounts, these discoveries were quickly seized by military personnel, leaving no public record or independent analysis. The lack of transparency fuels speculation that important evidence may be intentionally withheld. Even more intriguing are claims of underground structures featuring walls and unfamiliar symbols. These markings are said to resemble a form of communication or writing unlike anything currently recognized in archaeology. If accurate, they could point to a culture with knowledge or capabilities lost to time, echoing long-standing legends of forgotten civilizations. Adding to this is the suggestion of a vast interconnected network beneath the ice, possibly an entire city. Such a complex would require advanced planning and engineering, implying it was built in a time when the environment was far more hospitable. This challenges conventional timelines of human development and raises questions about what may have existed before recorded history. Antarctic research itself remains tightly controlled, often involving government and military oversight. Limited access for independent scientists makes verification difficult, reinforcing concerns about secrecy. Meanwhile, stories of recovered devices, functioning or otherwise, introduce the possibility of technology that doesn't fit neatly into known historical frameworks. Much of what we know comes from scattered testimonies, satellite imagery interpretations, and partially declassified files. While not fully confirmed, the consistency across these sources keeps the discussion alive. The continued silence from authorities and the disappearance of key witnesses only add to the tension. Whether myth, misinterpretation, or something far more significant, Antarctica may hold clues to chapters of human history that remain buried, waiting to be uncovered. The mystery only deepens as we uncover more about the classified operations that seek to protect these secrets and the extraordinary implications such discoveries hold for our understanding of human history. The urgency of revealing the truth. As Linda Moulton Howe gathered testimonies spanning decades, a troubling pattern emerged. Many of her most trusted sources, including military personnel and scientists, died under suspicious or unexplained circumstances. One of the most credible, a retired NORAD officer, passed away in 2022. These losses raised a chilling possibility that the truth might be deliberately buried, along with those who knew it. Linda realized she may have become the last living keeper of these accounts. The pressure to act grew heavier, knowing that delay could mean the permanent loss of critical information. For years, she struggled between fear and responsibility, carefully weighing when and how to reveal what she knew without putting others at risk. Ultimately, a sense of duty pushed her forward to honor those who trusted her. She started her Antarctic research project in December 2023, which combined research from the last 25 years into one complete document. The document contained geographic coordinates, witness accounts, documents that had been declassified, and information about operations that had never been made public. She aimed to maintain the facts while creating a process through which outside parties could verify the information. The report contained sections that appeared on earthfiles.com and mentioned existing military activities such as high jump. Linda encouraged both the public and experts to examine the data themselves. The official response stayed quiet because they neither confirmed nor denied information while keeping their details secret. She practiced carefulness because she needed to protect her sources while sharing necessary information throughout her entire professional life. The authorities choose to remain silent while witnesses disappear, which creates evidence that shows this situation goes beyond its hidden past because it explains the reasons behind the information blackout. We've uncovered a hidden chapter beneath Antarctic ice, ancient structures, secret missions, and silenced witnesses. The weight of secrecy and loss surrounds these revelations, but the truth demands to be heard. If this opened your eyes, hit like and subscribe for more deep dives into mysteries that challenge everything we think we know. And don't stop here. Tap the video on your screen next, because what you're about to see connects in ways you won't expect. Stay curious, and I'll see you there.